Lawrence, Ulrich here with The Drive. Thanks for checking in. We're in the Lamborghini Urus, the controversial new SUV. And maybe controversial until you sit in it and drive it and realize that nothing in the SUV class, and I mean nothing, performs like this. We just pulled out of the Vallelunga circuit, where this thing did a pretty convincing imitation of a sports sedan, despite weighing well over 4,800 pounds. This thing it's kind of indescribable. 4-liter twin-turbo V8 with 650 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. That torque peaks as low as 2,250 RPM. The upshot is 3.6 to 100 kilometers an hour. So we might be talking actually 3.5 seconds, 0 to 60. 12.8 seconds, 0 to 124 miles an hour, and a top speed of 189 miles an hour. Braking 100 to 0 in less than 34 meters. All of those numbers are best in the SUV class. And of course, this is a price no object SUV starting at around $204,000. So we've had some competitors to this, Porsche Cayenne Turbo. You're looking, 150 to 180 basically. BMW X6M for around $100,000. The new Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio for around $80,000 to $90,000. So this blows them out of the water in price, certainly. So much technology at play in this Lamborghini to make it perform like a smaller, lighter car. It shares the MLB platform with the Porsche Cayenne, but it's got a longer wheelbase and it's a little longer overall. We're moving this to Corsa mode here. Got all these different roads. Let's see what this thing can haul. Damn! Oh man, just lightning acceleration. 4-liter twin-turbo V8 that starts with a block that's also used in the Porsche Cayenne. And other than that, the oil pan, the lowers of the engine, it's actually an entirely different engine. Lamborghini exclusive cylinder head, valves, intake, exhaust. Even the turbochargers are different, larger volume turbochargers. They're both twin-scroll turbochargers to maximize efficiency. Can be mildly disappointed there's not a V10 sitting under the hood of this. But as Lamborghini said, this kind of application, big, weighty SUV, 4-wheel drive, they wanted more immediate throttle response, and you just can't beat a turbo for that. Again, this thing has got 627 pound-feet on tap at just 2,250 RPM. The technology roster is, you need a phone book to get it all in there. Active damping, active 4-wheel steering, air suspension, active torque vectoring, not brake-based torque vectoring like almost every other performance SUV. This thing has a default torque split of 40% of power up front, 60% to the rear, but it can just divvy and move torque all over the place. The active rear can move 75% of torque to either of the wheels. It can move almost 100% of the torque rearward or 85% of the torque up to the front. And it all happens very, very quickly. It's got the Lamborghini Piattaforme Inerziale. It's a mouthful, but it's like their 3-axis chassis system with kind of gyroscopes that measure all the different axes. And the upshot is trying to keep this thing dead flat in turns. It was just remarkable on track. You could not believe that this thing is an SUV. And another key to that, active anti-roll bars. This thing has a 48-volt electrical system. And on each of the roll bars, front and rear, you've got a pair of electric motors that can apply torque to stiffen the anti-roll bars or entirely decouple them. Yes, this thing can off-road. In addition to the normal kind of settings of Strada, Sport, and Corsa, kind of like street, sport, and race modes, you've got Sabbia, which is Italian for sand, Terra, gravel, loose surfaces, and Neve for snow. And in those modes, you're going to decouple those roll bars to get, maximum like wheel travel and articulation. interior of this thing is just amazing. It's like a Lamborghini Aventador, but for the whole family. Really cool materials. Can have 4 or 5 passenger seating, and the thing has surprising luggage space. The front seats in this Lamborghini allow riders of at least 6 feet 7 inches to ride comfortably, and a little bit better than 6 feet 3 inches for occupants in back. It's got this great gauge set. Obviously Audi based, the familiar MMI controls, but really cool, eye-popping graphics. If there's a knock on this Lamborghini, if the performance is from another planet, the styling is a little bit more earthbound. Very familiar kind of lines. You can see the roots in the Cayenne. They try to do the best they could. It looks almost a little bit like a Cayenne wearing kind of an Italian costume. Tried their best with the angles and the facets to make it give it that kind of interstellar Lamborghini look. Not entirely successful. It's starting to grow on me. It's not a bad looking vehicle by any means, but you might want something a little more, over the top in a Lamborghini. But again, these guys were restricted by packaging. This had to be a 4 or 5 passenger vehicle with luggage space, with a donated platform, shared again with Porsche Cayenne and also the Audi Q7. There's only so much you can do. Something else new in this Lamborghini, the Tamburo. It's kind of brings all into one package, all the little cool features. The little Armageddon switch that we always see with the kind of the engine start stop button, the Anima switch that runs through all your various modes, and the Ego switch that lets you then individualize and save macro settings. Another part of this really remarkable technology roster is the world's first 10 piston caliper braking system. That's right, 10 pistons. Spreads the braking force all the way across that enormous caliper, so there's no loss of energy, no deflection. So you get really consistent braking across the whole length of the caliper. And it needs it. 440 millimeter rotors up front, standard carbon ceramic brakes. And on the track, again, this thing is pushing 4,900 pounds, stopping from 100 kilometers to 0 in less than 34 meters. That is sports car level performance. All this technology is just designed to fool physics, to fool Mother Nature. Just think about this performance for a minute. Maybe 3.5 seconds, 0 to 60, 3.6 seconds if we're going to be official about it, from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, which is 62 miles an hour, and 189 mile an hour top end. We just tested the new Aston Martin Vantage, a 600 horsepower aluminum intensive sports car. That sports car goes 3.5 seconds, 0 to 60, and 197 peak. So here we have a Lamborghini SUV that's nearly as quick as an Aston Martin sports car with 600 horsepower. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is why an SUV? Why Lamborghini? There's just no fighting it anymore. We were just been talking with Stefano Domenicali, the chairman and chief executive of Lamborghini. They see an opportunity. They felt like they had to take it. This is a company that sold a record 3,800 cars last year. It doesn't sound like a lot, but for Lamborghini, 3,800 cars is a lot. And this SUV will instantly double their volume to 7,600 units. And as Stefano suggested, like Porsche before it, there's no reason that this car should dilute what this brand does, and in fact it should only improve it. And we've seen that with the Porsche Cayenne and the Macan, that those are the products that nurtured the brand, that gave them the money to continue developing the sports cars that enthusiasts want. And as Domenicali said, this is a new Lamborghini for a new customer. Almost 70% of the buyers are going to be first timers to Lamborghini. This is the family Lamborghini if you're from that kind of family. One thing's for sure, some Saudi princes are going to be very, very happy.